give me 1 second. Let me just introduce you to my next guest who's walked into the studio. Hi, Alexander.
Hello, Sophie. How are you?
I'm good. You came in I'm going to be honest with you, dear listener. It was literally, 10 seconds before the end of the song you came in, and it threw me.
I'm sorry.
Threw me.
Oh, bless you. Well, I was. It wasn't entirely my fault. I was being escorted.
You were being escorted by the lovely Nia. Thanks, Nia.
We should have guessed.
We're fine. We're fine about it. It's totally fine. You know, we're cool. It's between Christmas and New Year.
Relaxed,
when could we be more relaxed? Could we?
And it's live radio.
Exactly. And, it's 20 to 12. I mean, all of these things are true.
Honesty is the best policy.
Exactly. You're a composer and lyricist, Alexander, aren't you? And you're from Radlett, not from Watford. So sorry about that.
That's all right. It's only a few miles.
I'm going to just change it in my run on Radlett.
Okay.
There we go. Let's just get all the admin sorted now.
Right.
Okay. Right. You're listening to BBC Three Counties Radio. I'm Sophie Slayer here with you until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And we have composer and lyricist Alexander S. Bermange from Radlett in the studio now. He's known for writing comical songs and art pieces of theatre. Alexander, I'm aware of your work.
Yes.
You're a funny guy.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
You should. I love funny people.
I hope funny is meant in the amusing sense of the word, rather
you
than
make me laugh my head off.
Oh. Well, that's very kind of you.
I always remember when Lorna Milton left the radio station about 3 years ago now. You wrote her a song to say goodbye, didn't you?
I did. Well, I'm used to getting these calls often at the last minute, mainly from the World Surfers and the Radio 4, saying, can you write us a funny song overnight about the Scottish referendum or the general election that's coming up, or even the weather forecast or cup finals or some politician who's been in the news. And I've been in here a few times, and so I think I was actually in here to talk about a project of mine. And on my way out, the producer said, "Can I ask you something? Lorna's leaving in a few days' time. Would you fancy writing a kind of farewell ditty?"
It was brilliant. It was really funny.
It was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, you are. You're funny when you write. I like it. And your latest work, The Route to Happiness, is also full of humour, but it's also got a lot of heart as well, hasn't it?
Yes. I mean, what I really wanted to do, because as you quite rightly said, I've written these funny songs, but with my musicals, I just seem to be attracted to darker subjects. So one of the things I wanted to do with this show was to write something which ideally had a little bit of both, that had the funny moments that a lot of people will know me for, but also had the serious side, had the ballads, had the hummable tunes. And I also wanted to write something that was small, because a lot of my stage shows, in addition to being quite dark, are often on quite a large scale. And I really wanted to write something which could have its optimal effect when performed or recorded just by 3 singers and 2 musicians.
Yeah, there's 3 cast members. And it's a story about the 3 characters in modern day London, isn't it?
That's correct. I mean, it basically follows their respective journeys as they try and pursue what they think happiness is. So, for one of the characters, Lorna, who's been recorded by Kerry Ellis on this particular album, she wants to find love. She's of that age where a lot of her contemporaries are settling down, having families, and for her it hasn't happened. Marcus, who's played by Ben Forster, he wants to get rich quick. Money is his idea of happiness. There are lots of reasons in his backstory as to why he's formed that idea, but largely that's what he wants to do. And Trinity, who's the youngest of the 3, played by Louise Dearman, all she wants to be is famous. And that was an idea I particularly wanted to tap into, because now
everyone does.
Well, exactly. I mean, we all kind of worship the cult of celebrity to a greater or lesser degree, and it's the thing which, dare I say, a lot of youngsters are driven by, not necessarily being a respected actor or a well thought of singer, but they want to be a star, they want to be famous.
And these characters, are they based on people you know personally?
I think elements of them are, and elements of them are fictitious. There's probably a little bit of me in all of them, because I did want to write characters who weren't just caricatures, and obviously there is a lot more to these 3 individuals than these 3 desires. But I think one is always consciously or unconsciously inspired by people who one comes into contact with, if only because then that helps make these personalities more real.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some big stars in this. West End star Kerry Ellis, we all know Kerry.
Yes.
Louise Dearman and Ben Forster as well. He was massive on ITV.
That's right. Well, he shot to fame, as you say, on ITV Superstar, in which he won the title role in the international arena tour of Jesus Christ Superstar, and since then has starred in Evita in the West End. He's just been starring in the musical Elf in Plymouth and Dublin. So yeah, I mean he's been around, but Superstar is really what brought him the mass recognition which he's deserved. And
the magic of radio, you're not going to believe this. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Ben's here on the phone.
Hello, Ben.
That is how clever I am, you know. He's a star of ITV, he's star of the musical Route to Happiness, and then he's just on the phone on BBC Three Counties Radio. Ben, how are you doing? All right?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really good, actually.
Did you enjoy working with Alexander and performing the songs?
Oh, it was an amazing experience. It was a really difficult job, actually, because there's a lot of material and, you know, there was a lot to get through. You know, with everything, we had a very limited time. But it was an amazing experience to just be in the studio with Kerry and, you know, and I said, and Mike Dixon, who is just brilliant as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, the material is like a gift to us, really. You know, what he's written there, it is so beautiful and so difficult, but that's the reason why it kind of engages you when you listen to it. So, you know, it was a really good piece to work on.
I mean, the album's a 2-disc special, isn't it?
That's right.
It's quite unusual that a musical contains so many tracks.
Well, we thought, quite simply, Mike Dixon, who, as Ben said, produced it and is one of the UK's foremost musical theatre supervisors. Since we'd got Kerry and Ben and Louise, we thought it would have been such a terrible, terrible waste if we didn't record the entire show, just because it is through composed, so the entire story is told through music and song. And yeah, we thought, you know, for the people who want, you know, the full experience, they can sit at home. As you said, we issued it as a special edition on 2 discs, together with a booklet with the synopsis and background information and photographs and so on and so forth. But if people just want to download it and, you know, and just have the audio version, then obviously they can do that. But it is the full show.
The full show. But the show hasn't actually got onto a theatre.
Well, it was done in London in a small theatre called the Landor Theatre at the beginning of last year. It was just on for a week, which we did as a kind of tryout. The thing about this particular show is it's designed for small spaces. I really wanted to write something which could be experienced up close, and that was really because recently a lot of the things I've been seeing in the theatre have been pared down versions of of the musicals that I was brought up on in the 1980s and 1990s, that have been reduced in scale. And in some cases I thought they've worked really well, but in others I left with the feeling that in making them smaller, the motive had been more economical rather than artistic. And I thought, well, how about writing a show when its optimal effect could be achieved in a small space when performed just by, as I said, 3 singers and 2 musicians. Now, the difficulty with that is that it will obviously take a long time for word about it to filter out. And certainly after its initial run in London at the beginning of last year, there was fortunately a perceptible appetite for, you know, for more. People wanted to experience it again, or they wanted to re-experience it. But obviously with something that is designed for smaller spaces, the best way of getting it to the masses, dare I say, is through the medium of Amazon or Dress Circle for CDs or iTunes for downloads. And we thought that just by making it available in the first instance in that way would be the most effective means of reaching the largest audience. So, Ben, you recorded the album in the studio. How easy is it as an actor to get into the character when you're not actually on a stage performing?
It is quite difficult, actually. It's one of those things, you know, when you've got the build-up for everything and you've done a rehearsal process and you kind of know the arc of the story and what your journey will be. You do kind of, it's easier to tap into, but, we were there, and thank God Alexander was there, so we were talking about what each song was and where we were right at that point, and, you do have to rehearse some yourself and kind of get your own journey, and you know where you're at in the certain parts of the story. It's kind of like if you're an actor just doing TV or doing a movie from, you could do like the middle part of the movie first, and then on the last day of filming, you do the first scene of a movie. So it's kind of similar to that when you're in the studio. You just kind of have to pick up, where you're at and tap into it, and that's our job, I suppose.
And what was it that drew you to this musical in particular?
Well, I think, you do get offered quite a lot of things. There's offers that come in to my agent and stuff, and you hear stuff. But actually, it was when I first heard the first recording of this, I knew that it was an interesting project, and as soon as I kind of said yes, and then I heard Kerry was doing it and Louise was doing it, and I've worked with Louise and Kerry before, and I adore them both, and they're so highly respected. I just thought, if it's Alexander and it's Mike and it's Kerry and it's Louise,
it's a winner.
Music, and the music is brilliant, why not be involved? Absolutely.
Have you got a favourite song?
I think I just can't. Every time I listen to it, for weeks I'm singing The Route to Happiness. But I do quite like Plan B. Really makes me laugh. There's loads, Fingers in Pies is one of those melodies that always is in my head. So yeah, there's a lot of really catchy tunes in there.
Also, I can't not mention it, we saw you last on telly, didn't we, when you won the role of Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yeah.
How was that as an experience? It must have been so intense.
It was intense. It was kind of terrifying. I think if I was asked to do it again now, I think I would be too scared. I think I only kind of got through it because I didn't really know what was around each corner and what was the next step. But it was surreal, doing live TV like that every night. And, having a new song to sing the next day and all that stuff, and camera rehearsals and everything, and being in my dressing room and watching it on TV and watching Amanda Holden going, and up next will be Ben, and then a runner coming up and going, you're on next, come downstairs, and it's literally just jumping into the TV. Like, you're watching it in your dressing room and you kind of go downstairs and you're on TV. But it was brilliant, of course. I'm so happy that I went for it, because it really did kind of, as corny as it sounds, change my life, really. And
what's life been like since then?
Great. I did the Rocky Horror Show, and then I did Evita in Town, which I absolutely adored. And now I'm currently doing Elf, the musical, and I'm playing Buddy, the elf, the Will Ferrell part from the movie. And I'm currently in Dublin doing that for another few weeks. And then next year is kind of shaping up to be quite an exciting year. So I'm quite lucky and pleased and fortunate, really.
Fabulous. Ben, it's been a pleasure to talk to you. Very nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you for having me on.
We're going to play your favourite song in a second, The Route to Happiness. So listen out for it. Take care.
Listening.
Thank you. What a lovely guy. Was he nice to work with?
Absolutely, all three of them. And that was the really nice thing. And they do say you should never work with your heroes. It's always a bit dangerous that they might disappoint. And the thing about Kerry...
And they worked with you anyway.
But the thing about Kerry, Ben and Louise is they were all people whose work I'd admired on the stage. I had their solo albums in my collection because I knew they were great recording artists. And I just thought... I was a bit nervous, really. But I was just so thrilled that they all agreed to do it, because it really, really was the dream cast, and I was delighted with how it turned out. So, in terms of the calibre of the performers, I could not have wished for more. It was really so inspiring to work with them and see how they brought these three characters to life.
And would you agree with Ben? Is The Route to Happiness the song from the album?
The thing that's nice about The Route to Happiness as a song is it kind of summarises what the musical is about. And because I do love Kerry Ellis, Ben Forster and Louise Dearman in equal measure as performers, we get a little bit of each of them, and we hear them each individually. And what's great is we hear a little bit about the way in which their voices blend together and overlap. So that's what I particularly like about the track.
Let's have a little listen then. This is The Route to Happiness. If I can play it. I've never played a CD before, so you're going to have to bear with me. But this is all we... there it is. Enjoy it. It's The Route to Happiness.
that show the way to go. Must choose from pathways you don't know. I seemed forever lost in desperate dreaming, my object distant and unclear. But now I'm closer than I've ever been. The light of love will lead me on. The route to happiness is here.
The route to happiness defies resistance, holds promise of a land of gold in the distance. It takes some time for you to find the way. Life keeps on leading you astray. The path I trusted was forever changing. The goal I strove for nowhere near. But I am certain it is now in reach. Its golden glow will draw me on. The route to happiness is here.
The road's been long and sometimes long, and filled with hope and dread. At last the light is shining right ahead. From the start, the path I'm treading has led my heart. Choose where I'm heading, I set my sights on fabled far-off lights. Was certain someday they'd appear. Now someday's coming near. For though life held me back, there's one way to go, and I'm on track. All that counts for me is where I know I'll be. I've no more troubling dreams to fear when happiness is here. I must have found the long way round and sometimes lost my way. It's coming right, the end's in sight today. From to happiness, the path I'm treading has led. Surprises lie beyond. Choose where I dare. I set my sights signs that
Take some time for you to find the way.
must choose from
Life keeps on leading you
Someday's
astray.
coming near. I seemed forever lost in this. Life held me back this one way. My object distant and I'm on track. If I can trust all I am feeling now, if he's as perfect as he seems,
They're what's driven all my dreams.
if I've no wasted hopes to fears, the route to happiness is here.
Wow, there you go. That's a musical finish, isn't it?
Oh, well, yeah, that's the end of the first act of the Route to Happiness.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's the point where all three characters feel as though they're just about to achieve what their respective idea of happiness is.
You can tell.
Oh.
I can imagine myself there.
Oh, well, that's good. That's what we
Catnap.
wanted to create. That is exactly what we wanted to create. We wanted to create the feeling that people can have in a live theatre when they are in the comfort of their own homes
And
or
so
in the car.
I
or
love
wherever
the
they're listening.
idea. It's a fantastic idea. So what's the plan for the next show then? Because it's done and dusted in London. Will it tour?
It would be nice. I mean, that's, part of the reason behind releasing the album, obviously. I mean, obviously one side of releasing the album was that we just wanted to produce a great product that people could enjoy. But as I mentioned, if it does raise the awareness of it to the extent that, people want to go and see it or producers want to put it on, that will be terrific. So who knows? But
In the first instance, it's all about selling it.
yeah, I mean, as are all these things, it's all about getting it to the public, and ultimately the public will decide. Just as when we put it on in London, thankfully there was an appetite for a recording. if this recording generates an appetite for further productions, then obviously that would be wonderful.
And it's available on where? Amazon? Dress
Yes, that's
Circle?
right. So
Yep.
it's available as a deluxe 2 CD set from Amazon and Dress Circle, and it's also available to download from iTunes and all major digital platforms.
Alexander, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for coming
Thank you. I
in.
hope you find your own route to happiness very soon as well, if you haven't found it already.